All right, well, that was number one. Gerard, what is music memory number two?
So number two is the legendary NTV Sports theme, aka Giant Baba's theme for maybe the first decade or so of All Japan Pro Wrestling. So this would have been the first thing I ever saw when I first popped in VHS tapes that I purchased um, of Japanese pro wrestling. And I'll tell you this funny story of how I first came into possession of tapes of Japanese TV. Um, was doing a this would have been summer or maybe early spring 2000. I was 15 years old. I grew up in a city, London, Ontario, which is sort of like halfway way between Detroit or Toronto. So like on a weekend, we do like a mini family vacation to like Detroit or Toronto. So went up to Toronto for a weekend. My grandmother gave me $60. So and then at this time, I was reading on message boards and everything about how people would go to Japanese grocery stores and sometimes they would have the VHS tapes. So I scoured. I'm not even sure if it was well, I had the internet at this point, but I'm not sure if you could really find like things on the internet. I think I might have used the Yellow Pages. So I found a grocery store from the hotel we were staying in downtown. It must have been a 2 or 3 kilometer walk, um, and everything. So I go and I walk there, and I go in and I ask for videotapes, and they had them. They had 15 VHS tapes at $4 each. So I spent all $60 on the tapes, and they gave me this like those boxes that are like long and like narrow sort of thing.
Hmm.
So I get them, and so I walk back because I'm broke now. I didn't have any money to like jump on like a transit. So I walk back another 2 or 3 kilometers to the hotel with this long, awkward to hold box full of 15 VHS tapes. And I remember being very like tired and like my arms exhausted by the time I get back to the hotel. My parents think I'm very weird for doing this, of course. Like this you're going and spending all this money on Japanese professional wrestling videotapes. Anyway, I have no idea what's on the tapes because they're all labeled in Japanese. But they had dates on them. So I get back and I pop in and it's New Japan and All Japan TV from like 97 through 99, just like random episodes. There's like the Baba Memorial Dome show from May 99 on there, the TV version. And then TV version of also like 97 G1 Climax, actually. Um, and so those were like that's the first Japanese pro wrestling that I ever watched, and those were the first VHS tapes I had, and that theme is just will forever be etched in my mind. Just popping in that VHS tape for the first time.
Wow, yeah. I mean, growing up, we had a VCR player in the house and a ton of different VHS tapes of movies and whatnot, and eventually DVDs as well when they came around. But as a wrestling fan, I came up with Mega Upload and Rapid Share and all these fun little sites where I could download wrestling matches and shows off the internet for free. This is amazing. And as a result, yeah, I have no memories or connections whatsoever to the days of going to a local video store and looking for VHS copies of shows or, tape trading and corresponding with people across the country for, various tapes of, oh, this show and that show. I mean, that whole era of being a nerdy wrestling fan is so foreign to me.
I never really tape traded. I just paid the money for the
Oh, I
tapes.
know that. I know that. I'm just saying,
Type
like,
thing.
in
Yeah,
general, the whole VHS era.
definitely. Although it's funny because I think I might have been a late adopter to go elsewhere because I don't know when does touring really start because I don't start touring until 2005. But I feel like people were doing it before then, but I was still buying tapes up until then.
Well, LimeWire and Napster were like early 2000s, so
Yeah.
somewhere around then, I'd imagine. And I did dabble in those things as well, believe me, for my wrestling matches, much to the detriment of my computer's health, mind you. But yeah, like I said, my experiences of seeking out new wrestling, looking for new matches, sharing matches around, it's all been online. It's all been on these various websites. And nowadays, it's advanced so far where you have all these different streaming websites, some more legal than others, of course, but but the convenience is amazing. You can watch a show live or on demand right afterwards, or next day delivery perhaps. But yeah, the convenience is amazing nowadays. And maybe we have, lost some of the magic of the tape trading days where you'd be so patiently waiting for a tape and the anticipation would build and build and build and you'd finally get it. It'd be so wonderful. And nowadays, yeah, click a button, you got it right there. Instant gratification. And that's true for movies nowadays too. I mean, movies, not all of them, but a lot of them are now being put on your TV for streaming same day as they are in the theaters. And, the heyday of physical media and waiting for a physical media release, those days are long gone there, Gerard.
Well, I do have to say one positive of the current era is when you're paying like, your 800-900 yen a month for a streaming service, like I do with several. I don't feel as bad as when I watch a bad show instead of paying like 15 or 20 bucks for one bad show that you don't know is bad, and then it gets to you and it sucked and everything like that.
That is nice, yeah. Especially during like a G1 climax where you're like, okay, the show isn't that good, but I'm still paying like $8 or $9 for 15 more shows this month. Like it's crazy, it costs way less than it did, back in the day on tape or even the Ustream days where, you'd pay like $150 for the entire tournament. Like, yeah, nowadays it's crazy. It's a steal. It's a bargain. And we probably should be a lot more grateful for it, I think. But
and English commentary too in a lot of plans.
Yeah, English commentary. The fact that shows are streaming live from across the world onto our computers is like a modern miracle compared to a few decades ago. But yeah, English commentary like Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton, who they know the stories, they know the wrestlers, they know the moves, they know all of it. It's so amazing how far Japanese wrestling has come to being, very convenient and very available for Western fans like us, Gerard.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of incredible to think about how much it's just changed.